Yeah.
You want to like him, but you can't.
Are you listening?
What?
Are you listening?
Did you bring me on this show to insult me?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Hey, y'all don't want it with us, man. We straight gangsters over here,
Straight
man.
gangsters.
Ah.
Yeah, good morning. It is Thursday, September 6th, and you are listening to The Scout Team with Scout Team Sports. I am one of your gracious hosts.
You are the most egotistical, self-deluded person I've
That's right, I am Loudbeard, and our other host on the other line is the great patriot known as...
Yeah, it's your boy Chris America, who's finally on the mic. Everything's set up. Everything's ready to go. It is Thursday, September 6th. I always get my Ember months mixed up there, Loudbeard.
I could see where that could easily happen. I don't know if you had a chance to listen, but there was a reality check-in replay on. They come on live on our 12-ounce sports TV every Tuesday at noon, and then their replay comes on Wednesdays. Well, they were doing another replay in the morning, and they were saying how a huge upset would be when they get an interview with Tim Tebow ahead of us. Can you believe that on the replay? I was listening to that, and my jaw dropped. Like, these guys are really out to beat us and get Tim Tebow on their show way before us, but this will never happen.
This will be like them picking, the St. Mary's Catholic School of the Blind of fifth graders beating Alabama in football.
Yeah, it's just not going to happen that way, and I just hope they realize that they're going up against a juggernaut. They can't beat this. What are they thinking? This isn't the Miracle on Ice. We're not even giving them that kind of chance.
This isn't even Little Giants beating the Dallas Cowboys with that big old kid. They're not going against Ed Helms here.
No. And they always talk about them being the David versus Goliath. Well, guess what? We're the Goliath, and they're David's 89-year-old grandpa, and they still don't have a chance. There's just no chance at all. And so I just wanted to give that out. They also gave a bold prediction that the Chicago Bears would beat the Packers on Sunday because guess what? Football season is back, and that's what we're ready for, man. NFL is here. College football started last weekend, and we've got plenty of games to talk about, including one tonight, which is awesome. And when you start hearing all these bold predictions coming from all these talking heads, you start getting excited because all everybody knows right now is that two teams are going to play. Nobody knows who's going to win, so we could say anything we want. So saying a bold prediction like the Chicago Bears with Mitchell Trubisky at the helm could beat the great Aaron Rodgers, that's a bold prediction, but anybody can say a thing like that, and that's what we're here for. We're going to have some great bold predictions ourselves today. Don't you agree?
You mean a bold prediction like the Browns winning the Super Bowl?
That is a bold prediction. I did come out and say they would win the division. If I ever said they would win the Super Bowl, I was probably drunk that time. I'm sure there's audio evidence of it, but I'm not going to deny anything.
You were in the middle of Georgia the time you said it, so it makes sense. People go a little crazy down there in Georgia.
Yeah, I was passing through Brunswick, and it smelled like crap, so I had to, my brain was just not thinking straight. So you have to give me a little bit of a pass on that. I'm just going to say division champs, definitely not going Super Bowl yet. But when they go 11-5 or 10-6 this year, then we can start talking about playoffs when that time comes around. But it's a little too early for that. I don't know if I can really bring that sort of A-game bold predictionness to this morning's show. But I'll work on it. I got to get some good other bold predictions stewing. So we'll get going on that.
Yeah, and I was listening to We Talk Sports Good last night. They come on every Wednesday night at 9:30 on 12-ounce Sports Radio, and they attributed the entire Scout team to your Browns prediction. They were like, oh, the guys over there at Scout team are really high on the Browns. And I wanted to call in and be like, whoa, slow your roll. It's Kyle that's going off the end. I can see his argument, but this is not a Scout team sports. So maybe we need to have you know how like most radio shows have that little nomenclature at the beginning where it's like the views and opinions of Kyle Loudbeard are not those of other Scout team members.
You know what this is? This is a classic case of guilt by association.
Oh, yeah.
And oh yeah, Browns are winning the division.
Oh, yeah.
I just love that drop. I just gotta keep playing it.
It's a good drop, and this week of NFL actually shapes up to be better than last weekend of college football. And we start things off with the Eagles versus the Falcons.
Yeah, so we got the Super Bowl winning Philadelphia Eagles. They're starting the season out, which I love. They're going up against the Falcons. Falcons are a great team. I've heard some of the talking heads on some of the local sports radio talk about how they didn't feel like this is a great game. Now, you don't get Carson Wentz in this, but you are having Nick Foles start as the quarterback, and he was the quarterback that won the Super Bowl for the Eagles. So I'm excited about seeing Nick Foles, but he has looked like trash in the preseason. So this is a bad sign for Philadelphia. Alshon Jeffrey is still not healthy, so they're out their top receiver. I see this being a little bit of a challenge for Philadelphia. LeGarrette Blount left in the offseason, so that they don't have that weapon. So this is a different team that we're going to see out on the field. I would have to say that, not that Eagles fans would temper expectations because they're very arrogant and they love their Eagles and they always think their Eagles are going to win. But as an outsider looking in as a casual observer, I have to say that the Eagles need to maybe slow their roll a little bit this season. I do not see them going back to the Super Bowl. I think they take a step back. And, the Falcons 2 years ago easily could have been Super Bowl champions after that terrible loss to New England in the Super Bowl. So now we're looking at them, and let's see what they can bring. And I'm excited. Calvin Ridley, on the opposite side of Julio Jones.
Yeah,
with
he's
Matt
a
Ryan at the helm. Dude, this could be fun.
Yeah, he's a proud member of the Sioux Tang clan, my fantasy football team. I hope he goes off on tonight.
I hope so too. Well, you're not playing me tonight, are you? Okay, anyway,
Yeah,
we're
we
not
played
going
this
diving
week.
into the deep, dark abyss of fantasy football, though it's so easy to.
Quick, we're
It's
going to
easy
spend the
talk
next
fantasy
hour going over our fantasy football rosters, and we're going to ask you who we should start.
Start 'em or sit 'em. Next on the scout team. Not. Okay, so the game tonight, who do you got? Let's just go ahead and get it out there, Chris America. Who do you think's going to win this game?
Well, the Falcons went 0-4 in the preseason. We all know preseason predicts everything, so I have the Eagles winning.
Okay, that's a bold prediction. This may be the unpopular choice by me because I do have family up in Philadelphia, and they do listen to the show, so they may stop listening. Our listeners may dip, and I apologize for that in advance. I have friends and family up there, but I think that the Falcons squeak this one out. I think we're going to see a 27-24 fest, and the Falcons come out with the victory. I think they're going to be fired up. They have a little bit more of an incentive to beat the Eagles because they're wanting to go in and show that they can beat the Super Bowl champions. Again, the Eagles, I think they have some question marks on their team, and I loved their run last year. I just don't think this year's going to be the same run. So I'm going 27-24 Falcons with the victory.
Well, Kyle, with that prediction, and you mentioned those fans in Philadelphia that love the show, I would update your fire insurance. Make sure your house is fully insured for a mysterious fire that's going to happen this weekend.
Yeah, they can get kind of brutal with the burning the house down situation. So I have to be careful. Philadelphia fans are very unique as far as they absolutely do not have any regard for anybody else. So they will threaten to burn down your house. They will do whatever it takes because they are passionate. And they are absolutely in love with their sports teams. And this is all sports teams. It's not just the Eagles. It's the Sixers. It's the Phillies. They love all their sports teams, especially when they're winning. And I do need to take out an additional insurance policy on my home. And I think that's a great idea, Chris America. I'm glad you brought that up because I now need to live in fear.
Yeah, you really should. Or you can just change your prediction, pretend like that's your prediction, and maybe your house will be saved. But enough with that. let's go. Let's move on to our NFC predictions. We'll go over the rest of this weekend's games tomorrow morning. Hopefully, you guys tune in at 6 a.m. or 11 a.m. for that. Like I said, it's a rock solid weekend. The only thing I'll say about this weekend today is, man, if I'm ESPN, I want my money back from the NFL. You see all of these great matchups: Houston at New England, San Francisco at Minnesota, Dallas at Carolina. Chicago at Green Bay. Those are all perfect for Monday Night Football, correct?
Yep.
Nope. ESPN gets New York Jets at Detroit.
Well, you know what? The sports turd kind of deserves it.
That they do. Now, their second game, Rams versus Oakland. Those could be two up-and-coming games with Khalil Mack not being on that defensive line for Oakland, though. Whoever has Todd Gurley on their roster for fantasy football, go ahead and start him. Start him twice if you can.
I don't think anybody's sitting Todd Gurley. He's a top 3 pick in 99.9% of drafts. Todd Gurley is the man.
Of course.
And, the Los Angeles Rams, I'm excited to see what this team can bring. So that is going to be a great matchup. I do want to throw out a little nugget. I love throwing out some nuggets of information. But there was a Rams executive that stated he put out a very aggressive package for Khalil Mack. So Khalil Mack almost went to the Rams. The Rams already have Ndamukong Suh. They have Aaron Donald. They picked up some great cornerbacks in the offseason. This defense should be one of the best defenses in the league. Imagine if they would have also grabbed Khalil Mack. That would have been the sickest defensive lineup I have ever seen. Now, whether or not they put that on the field and it actually comes out to be that great of a defense is a different story. But on paper, this defense is just, it's going to be awesome to watch. And I'm excited to see what the Rams can bring. And, you got the John Gruden effect in Oakland, so let's see what that ends up being. But either way, great game Monday night, but that one's past my bedtime, so
yeah, 10-20.
I hate those late games. That second Monday night, I love it because it's 2 football games, and I try to stay up and watch it. I never make it all the way through. It ends at like 1 in the morning, and when you have an early morning sports radio show to do, it's really hard to stay up for those. Though I may get up at like 4:30 in the morning and then like fast forward and DVR it and catch the highlights. But that's part of the life, my friend.
Yeah, well, since we're talking about the Rams, let's talk about the NFC West. They are by far the favorite, and I can't really argue against anybody that they're not the favorite. You mentioned how much talent they have on that team. They were aggressively acquiring talent, and I hated the Rams move. If you listened to last night's show, I hate NFL owners. But what's done is done, and at least the owners are making aggressive moves to make the Los Angeles Rams relevant again, and they've been doing just that since they moved to Los Angeles. Part of that was firing Fisher, got rid of him, which was the smartest move. Should have done it a long time ago. Maybe they would have been able to stay in St. Louis if they did. But I don't see anybody beating the LA Rams. Arizona Cardinals have Sam Bradford and rookie quarterback Rosen. I don't see either of those guys being able to dethrone the Rams. Maybe Janine Garoppolo can rise up and lead the 49ers. Seattle Seahawks, they might be able to do something, but I don't know if they've shored up that offensive line enough for the offense to be any good. I do have high expectations for Rashad Penny coming out of San Diego State. If that offensive line can be decent, look for him to be a surpriser, one of those like Alvin Kamara guys that you didn't see coming, or those Kareem Hunt type running backs that nobody really was talking about. They were too distracted by the Saquon Barkleys. Maybe Rashad Penny's the guy, or maybe he's just a guy on my fantasy team, and I'm just really hyping him up to hopefully speak that into the universe.
Now, Chris America, do you live in a world of fantasy or do you live in a world of reality? That's what I really want to know.
Fantasy 1,000%. The world of reality is a scary, cruel place, so I just stay in my little bubble of fantasy. There's unicorns there. Skittles rain from the sky, and Tim Tebow's my best friend.
Yeah, Tim Tebow is your best friend. Okay, good. I love this fantasy world we live in. It is amazing. So my NFC West predictions, I'm going to have to agree with you as far as the Rams winning the division. The team in there that I think that could give them the run for their money is the San Francisco 49ers. As you mentioned, our good friend Jimmy G, who also was living a fantasy world this offseason as he was dating porn stars. He is the future of the San Francisco 49ers. I think this team, I believe in Kyle Shanahan as a coach. I also believe in Sean McVay. I think these two teams are going to be the top two of the NFC West. I see the Los Angeles Rams winning the division and then San Francisco 49ers right on their tail being in a wild card position. I love Jimmy G. Marquise Goodwin, their great wide receiver, I think is a speedster that's going to really show off this year with Jimmy G throwing him the ball. I just have high hopes for San Francisco. Now, they did take a step back with having an ACL injury to Jerick McKinnon, so they're losing their elite running back. But they are going to be a good team this year. So I think the Rams could be a 12-4 type team, and then the 49ers might be a 10-6. So I think you're going to see two really great teams in the NFC West. Looking forward to these teams. The problem is a lot of them play late at night or whatnot, so you end up not seeing all of their games. Or we live here on the East Coast. A lot of the West Coast games aren't televised because we get the Bucks and the Dolphins on the TV, which don't get me started on that pile of trash.
Yeah, and this is a division that I think in a year or two could be probably the best division top to bottom. We'll see how Rosen pans out in in Arizona. And, Jimmy G, lots of expectations, no reason to not expect greatness from him. And yesterday we talked about the AFC and how the AFC North was kind of one-sided, the AFC East is one-sided. This division here is going to be not one-sided here very shortly. And another division that's not one-sided at all, it's got three great teams, three great quarterbacks. They sent three teams to the NFC playoffs last year, and that's the NFC South. I'm a Carolina Panthers fan. I'm just going to pick them because that's a homer pick, but I can see any of those three teams winning it. Tampa Bay is going to bring up the rear. So my pick is going to be Carolina, though. Man, Drew Brees is on his way out. They made some moves this past offseason. I can see them, making another run for the division like they did last year. And Atlanta was in the Super Bowl 2 years ago. They won the division 2 years ago. So it's anybody's guess as to who's going to win. But I'm going to side with my Panthers. I like the offense. I like what they did with the running backs, getting Christian McCaffrey and Anderson out there. We'll see what DJ Moore can do. A lot of people are excited about DJ Moore in the receiving game, and Devin Funchess is going to, step up his game a little bit. And I see Cam Newton 11-5 season for my Panthers.
All right, that's a good prediction. This was a tough one for me because I think you and I both agree that the Bucs are going to be the bottom dwellers of this division.
Yeah.
With Jameis Winston, I think he's underperformed as a professional just in general. And then him coming in with a suspension, so they're having to start Ryan Fitzpatrick. So you're seeing a team that just is missing that key leader at the right time. And I just think the Bucs aren't even in this discussion. So we'll just leave that there. So then you're right. You've got a 3-team race. And honestly, you could pick the Magic 8-ball up and say, you know what, who's going to win it? And it's going to say, I don't know, shake again, who knows? And that's how I feel about this division. But I would say the team that's tilting it a little bit for me is the New Orleans Saints. One, you're right, Drew Brees is on his way out, but I think he's got 1 or 2 more really great years left in him. They've got such a good supporting cast. Their offensive side of the ball, there's no questions there. Alvin Kamara, you've got Mark Ingram, who will be back off a suspension a few games into it. You have Michael Thomas, a just dynamic wide receiver. So this team is going to be great offensively. There's no doubt there. I think the question marks come on defense because 2 years ago and 3 years ago, this is like one of the teams that has one of the worst defenses in the league. And last year, with some good draft picks, some young players, they ended up overperforming, and they were a very good defense. Let's just hope they don't take a step back. As long as their defense can stand up, then the New Orleans Saints, to me, would be the pick in this division. But that is not to say that if the Atlanta Falcons won it or the Carolina Panthers won it, I would not be surprised. All of these teams in this division, except the Bucs, I think have a great shot at winning this thing.
Yeah, I'm looking at the Bucks schedule right now, and it's very likely they could go 0-6 to start off the season. They have at New Orleans, Philadelphia at home, Pittsburgh at home, at Chicago, at Atlanta, and then your AFC North Division winners, Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be a rough year for the Tampa Bay Bucks. We know that. We're not going to sugarcoat it. Now, if they come out and surprise us, anything can happen. Weird things happen in the NFL. There's a lot of surprises. I thought the Jets were going to be awful last year, and they actually pulled together a reasonably good year. So I can live with that. But my expectations are on the floor right now for the Bucks. They're just very low.
I mean, best case scenario with that schedule, they go 3-3. Maybe Chicago's not as good as we're pumping them up to be. Maybe Cleveland isn't as good as we're pumping up to be. And maybe without Le'Veon Bell, the Steelers take a dump. But I just don't see it, man. 2-4, 1-5. Honestly, I think that's the most realistic scenario there for their first 6 games. And you don't see many teams recover from a 1-5 start.
So you said we're pumping up pumping up Chicago.
Well,
Are you
you.
big on the Bears train? Because I haven't really given my prediction on that, and I'll be honest with you, I'm not as high as most people are. I think they're getting a lot of hype right now because of one player in Khalil Mack, but I don't know about that. So, I mean, that may segue us into that next division, the NFC North, where Chicago, they've got some stiff competition. This is another extremely competitive division. So, are you predicting Chicago, Chris America?
No, I'm not predicting Chicago to be the
Okay.
divisional winner, but I'm predicting Chicago to be a much better team than the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, is where that was going.
Well, I think everybody's going to be a much better team than the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Right. So that's where I was going with it.
Fair enough.
I mean, listen, that defense is going to be fairly nasty. When you have Aaron Rodgers in your division, you have to draft defense. You have to trade for defense. You need to stop Aaron Rodgers. That's just all there is to it. You build the team around what the other teams are doing in your division. But you also have the Detroit Lions. They look to be doing much better at defense as well. They got Matt Patricia, their head coach, who has been the longtime defensive coordinator for the Patriots. And outside of last year's Super Bowl, there's no reason why you can think that this guy isn't good at coaching defenses. And then you got Minnesota Vikings bringing up the rear, staying aggressive with their win now mentality. They went out and got Kirk Cousins. The defense is still going to be nasty. It's going to be a great season. Packers, I don't know, man. I want to pick the Packers. You never want to pick against Aaron Rodgers, but with his injury history and the fact that these other teams are just as good, if not better on defense, and have just more weapons on offense, Green Bay still has no running back. I don't know if the Packers and Aaron Rodgers can carry the Packers enough to get it done. I'm not guaranteeing it's going to happen, but I think I'm going to lean back towards Minnesota, take the safer bet, and pick them to win. I think their defense is the difference.
Oh, I see how it is. I think you actually looked over on my sheet and said, oh, Kyle's picking, Loudbeard is picking Minnesota. Let me go ahead and take Minnesota also. But I see where you're going with this. Minnesota, to me, is going to be head and shoulders the leader in this division. Now, it is going to be a competitive division. We talk about Aaron Rodgers. The problem isn't Aaron Rodgers. It's the rest of the team around him. I don't think that defense has gotten a lot better. I don't think the offense has the same weapons. Now, Aaron Rodgers makes players look good, so a guy like Devontae Adams is going to be a great wide receiver. Randall Cobb is still on this team. But they lose Jordy Nelson, who was one of Aaron Rodgers' favorite wide receivers and good friends in personal life, I believe, also. So I know Aaron Rodgers was very upset that Jordy Nelson left. The running back position has been a question mark for several years now. It's been a revolving door of just another guy. And when they do that, it just doesn't seem like there can be a lot of excitement. Now, their system of having the best quarterback in the league or one of the best quarterbacks in the league and letting him ride your team to the playoffs, that system works, but it only can take you so far. You need to have other players around them. Now, they do a good job drafting cornerbacks. This is well documented. We've talked about this regularly, but I just don't think the Green Bay Packers are good enough around Aaron Rodgers to be the best team in this division. I think Minnesota, top to bottom, have a much better roster. They're much improved at the quarterback position with Kirk Cousins. Xavier Rhodes at cornerback, FSU legend. He is one of my favorite defensive players. I think he is a little underrated, but he is nasty at the cornerback position. So Minnesota all the way. Green Bay, they're in the conversation. You've got Chicago, obviously better defense. Khalil Mack. I mean, still got to go Minnesota, though. And Detroit, I'd like to see what Matt Patricia can do before I anoint them anything. So we're going Minnesota, and then I think Green Bay is going to be the second team in this division. So that's where I'm going with this one, Chris America.
I like it. I like that great minds think alike. I don't know if we're going to think alike on the NFC East. I'll let you lead this one off since this is your division, Kyle.
Okay, so I got to do it. This is hard for me. They always say, you know, when you're doing sports talk radio, make sure that you're unbiased. Well, that's a bunch of load of crap. I'm not unbiased. I can tell you right now, I'm biased towards my team, the Washington Redskins. That's right. They are going to come back. They acquire a top 5 quarterback in the offseason, a man that is a leader, a man that surprised everybody last year and was one of the top quarterbacks in the league, a man that will be a top 5 quarterback at the end of this year, and that is the great Alex Smith. They also go out, they make a great draft pick and get Darius Geis. Now, Geis goes out with a really bad ACL injury, so he's done for the year. So you think, okay, are we going to throw in the towel? No, we are not going to throw in the towel as the Washington Redskins. What we are going to do is we are going to go out and get one of the most prolific running backs in the history of the NFL, and that is Adrian Peterson. We bring him in, and yes, he is the black Captain America. The man is just strong, and he's athletic, and he never ages, and he is the answer to the running back position. Him and the second running back, Chris Thompson, who is more of that catching out of the backfield, receiver, slot type running back. They're going to be a 1-2 punch that the NFL is not ready for. And I have high expectations of my Washington Redskins. They are obviously going to be the NFC East divisional champions.
So,
mic drop.
With your breaking down of the NFC East, you spent all of your time talking about the Redskins.
Did you expect anything else?
No, I did not, and it's not a bad breakdown. I have to ask, this is Gruden's 5th year or 6th year at Washington?
Oh, no, I think it's 4. This has got to be his 4th year. 3rd or yeah, it's got to be 4th. He's definitely had 3.
No, because when did I guess he picked up, 2014, I think?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so anyways, is he in win now mode for his job?
Well, yeah, there has to be an expectation that he makes it to the next level. He has to make the playoffs this year. I think if he does not make the playoffs, they are going to look for another coach. And I like Gruden a lot. I like his offensive mind. I really liked it when Kyle Shanahan was there also. But, you know, Gruden has brought in just a kind of a fun level of offense. And I'd love to see him succeed. Obviously, I'm picking them for my champions of the division because that's what I do. And, yeah, if he doesn't get into the playoffs this year, I do think he might be done.
Okay, I agree with you. I think he's been using Kirk Cousins as a scapegoat the last few years, and now it's on him. He's gotten rid of RG3. He's gotten rid of Kirk Cousins. He went out and traded for a guy that's him. He didn't pick Kirk Cousins. He didn't pick RG3. This is his guy now. This is his quarterback. So I think if he can't win with him, then he has to go. He has to put up or shut up right now this year. With that said, obviously the sexy pick this year is going to be the Philadelphia Eagles. Why not? They're the Super Bowl champs. Everybody expects them to pick up where they left off, especially when Carson Wentz comes back. But I'm going to make a little unpopular pick, except for 2 of the guys that Rehab Sports will love this. I'm going Dallas Cowboys this year to win the division.
Boo!
I think this is, yeah.
Boo! I need a laugh track.
Yeah.
I need a boo track. I need a
boo track
right now.
We'll have to work on that. Yeah, there you go. The reason why is they came on once Ezekiel Elliott came back from his 6-game suspension. They ended the season fairly hot, and I see them finally, now that they don't have all that distraction of suspension and 6 games and arbitrators and Roger Goodell, now that they could just focus on winning, they got their star running back in the fold. I see them doing it, man. I see them going maybe 10-6, 11-5. The Eagles take a slight step back. I don't see them running through the division like they did last year. Did they go undefeated in the division last year? I feel like they did.
I don't know, man. I can't keep track of all those.
I mean,
stats.
did they beat your
Do I
Reds?
look like the stat magician? Do you think I'm the stat magician?
Yeah.
Is that what you're telling me?
Did they beat your
early.
guys twice?
I've already blocked out last year. I've already moved on.
Last year's
We're
already
moving
moved.
on to Cincinnati.
We're moving on to
I've moved on to
Cincinnati.
Cincinnati. I don't care about the Cowboys. Come on, man.
Yeah, so I guess I got to go with the Cowboys. It's not a popular pick, but it's too easy to pick the Philadelphia Eagles. If you've listened to all other radio shows, you've already heard that pick before. So we're trying to keep it entertaining while also giving like an educated guess or an educated bold prediction. Saquon Barkley's over there at New York. I still don't see it being that great of a season for him. He might be what everybody says he is, this generational player, even though we have several really great running backs. And we're pretending like we've never seen this type of guy before. He only had 1,200 yards rushing in college last season, and he had 18 touchdowns. That part's great, but if you can't rush over 100 yards a game in college, I don't know how you're going to rush over 100 yards a game in the NFL, especially with how bad the line is. I know everybody says that their line is a lot better this year, but I'm going to believe it when I see it. I could be wrong. He's got a hard start with the Jaguars this week, so I don't see them doing anything. They're going to be the team bringing up the rear, but that's my NFC East take, and I think we're ready for a commercial break. What's on the other side, Kyle?
Well, on the other side, we will tell all of our listeners what an Iron Man, a judge, and a Gangster's Paradise all have in common. All right, we'll catch you on the flip side.
When I'm working hard, I build up a thirst for sports. That's when I grab a cold 12-ounce sports radio. Ah, 12-ounce sports radio. Quench your sports thirst.
Oh, guess who it is? Did you know the station had a janitor? Oh, yeah, the Jefe, otherwise known as Beck. And it's Beck's Work Week in Review live on 12-Ounce Sports Radio every Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Catch interviews, special guests, and the recap of the week's news and headlines and box scores and results. It's Beck's Work Week in Review live on 12-Ounce Sports Radio.
Scout Team listeners and friends of the show, I've got something special for you. It looks like 12-Ounce Sports Radio has done it again. We have partnered with Rally House. You just go to the website, 12ozsportsradio.com. Click on the banner on the right side of the page, and it will take you directly to Rally House. Rally House has some of the greatest, most unique sports items for that diehard fan, casual fan, and anybody and everybody out there that is special in your life. So go ahead and check it out. Once again, go to that website, 12ozsportsradio.com. Click on the banner to the right of the page, and you will get taken to the best sports merchandise website on all of the interweb. Do you own a small business? Are you looking for solutions to all of your communications, problems, and challenges that you have? Check out Ring Central. Give them a call. They have partnered with 12ouncesportsradio.com to give you the best rates on all of your business and office solutions for communication. Give them a call today. We have a dedicated line for all of the 12-ounce sports radio listeners. It is 1-877-779-3600. 3860. You will get a representative on the phone who will help you with all of your small business communications needs. Once again, give them a call today, 1-877-779-3860.
Oh, it's summertime. And what's that mean? We're all heading off to the golf course. But don't go too fast. Make sure you go to 12ouncesportsradio.com and book a tee time. At the bottom of any page, you'll see Book Like a Pro. Click that banner, enter your course of choice or zip code, find a tee time you like, book that tee time, and you'll get up to 50% off, courtesy of 12-Ounce Sports Radio. Book like a pro, even if you don't play like one.
Oh, yeah, we are back. That's right. You are listening to the Scout Team, and we are giving you Scout Team Sports. We are excited to be with you each and every morning, Monday through Friday. We air at 6 a.m. and again at 11 a.m. on 12ouncesportsradio.com. Great lineup today on the radio station. Just wanted to do a quick rundown so all of the listeners out there will know what we have in store. We have Clutch Talk Sports coming on at 8 a.m. Then we have our replay coming back at you at 11. We've got What's Up Sports with Jimmy over there at noon. So make sure you listen to him. Rehab Sports Guys come live at 2. Kentucky Sports Guys are on at 4. All Sports Best at 5. Weekend Warrior at 6. And Cats Talk Wednesday at 8. And then tonight at 10 p.m., we have the Primetime Angles Show. So great lineup ahead of us today on 12ouncesportsradio.com. And again, we're the Scout Team. Make sure you hit us up on all of the social medias. Go to Facebook, like the page. It's Scout Team Radio. Go to Instagram. Go to Twitter. We are everywhere. And if you wanted to listen to a show in the past, you don't have to go anywhere else other than checking out our podcast. It is on Apple Podcasts. It's on Spotify Podcasts. And you can check it out on scoutteamradio.com. And you will get all of the old episodes. You can catch our very first episode. You can catch last week's episodes. You can catch it all. Whatever you want to see and listen to, it is available out there. But without further ado, Chris America, are we ready to go back in time?
I'm ready to go if you're ready to go.
You know, this is one of those things that I love doing. When we get a new segment and we run with it and we just have a good time, and that's what I'm ready to do. I'm ready to have a great time. And I was inspired this morning, Chris America. I'll tell you why I was inspired. Because on this very day, September 6th, 1995, the great Cal Ripken Jr. of our Baltimore Orioles became the Iron Man. He broke the record, so we're going to do a little time travel.
Wait a minute, Doc. Are you telling me that you built a time machine out of a DeLorean?
All right, Chris America, we're going to go back to the summer of 1995. We're going to talk about all the greatest and latest 1995 things that were happening. I did mention that we will be talking about an Iron Man, and that was our Cal Ripken Jr. So, Chris America, what are some of the greatest things of the summer of 1995 that you can think of?
Well, you say greatest, and this one right here for us Orlando Magic fans was anything but great. The Magic season was great that season. They beat the Chicago Bulls in the NBA East. We felt like, Shaq and Penny were going to rule the world, but the Houston Rockets had other plans for us. They sweep the Magic 4-0 in the summer of 1995. Kyle Loudbeard, were you already in Orlando at this time?
I was not in Orlando in 1995. I was in the greater Tampa Bay area. I do remember this because I remember my dad ended up getting tickets to one of these games, and him and one of his coworkers ended up going. And I remember vividly being extremely jealous. So he brought me back a nice Orlando Magic. It was one of the Eastern Conference Championship hats. I wish I still had that hat now that I'm thinking about it, because that hat was a great hat. It was a moment where we were just very supportive of the Orlando Magic because Tampa Bay does not have a basketball team. So Orlando was the basketball team of Tampa Bay, and it was an exciting time for us in 1995.
In 1995, with that Orlando Magic run, it proved how great of a sports town Orlando can be. There's a lot of potential here in Orlando. If you're not from the Orlando area, this is a bad sports town because it has a lot of transplants. I'm probably one of very few Orlando natives, people who were born and raised, second generation, that kind of thing. Most people are like yourself. They moved from Maryland, they moved from New York, they moved from Pittsburgh. A lot of transplants down here. But when the Orlando Magic are good, the city of Orlando gets behind it big time. I remember big banners up on the buildings. We had Horace Grant. Everybody's wearing Horace Grant goggles all over the place. We had the whole phrase that says it must be the goggles. That's why he's so good. And it just didn't happen out. It didn't pan out. And then, of course, the Magic blunder up the Shaquille O'Neal deal. And everybody knows the sad, sad history after that. In hockey, it was the summer of the sweep because the New Jersey Devils swept the Detroit Red Wings. I almost said the Detroit Pistons. They swept the Detroit Red Wings 4-0. I remember nothing from that hockey season.
I believe that was, and I'm not a huge hockey fan, Chris America, so our hockey fans, probably somebody over at the World Hockey Report or somebody might call me out, but I believe that was when Steve Yzerman was the big Red Wings player at the time. He was one of the best in the league, but he still wasn't good enough. They get swept. We brought out the brooms. I actually had a friend of mine when I was younger that was a huge he was from Michigan, so he loved all the teams Detroit. I remember him being stoked about the Red Wings and very disappointed when they got swept.
They definitely, you were right, Yzerman was not ready yet, but he got ready because the Detroit Red Wings owned the late 90s after this. They took over the hockey world for quite some time. And the Art Ross Trophy Award goes to one of my favorite names in all of sports. It went to Pittsburgh Penguin Jaromir Jagr. I think he's still playing hockey, if I'm not mistaken.
He's like 49 or 53 years old. He'll play wherever. He'll go minor league. He'll come in and play 1 minute in a game. He doesn't care. This guy loves the sport so much. He reminds me of Jerry Rice. When Jerry Rice just wanted to play. He says, I don't care. I'll be 42 years old. Put me on the team, coach. And this is the guy, Jagr, man. He's an Iron Man. That's the real Iron Man right there.
Now I'm looking through all the things that happened in sports in 1995, and the world of sports has changed so much, and nothing more dramatically has changed than what UFC has done since 1995. There were only 4 UFC events, and 1995, this was before the summer, but I'm going to mention it anyways because I thought it was interesting. UFC had a rule change that year in April, and they introduced a single 30-minute round. Could you imagine a 30-minute fight of one single round of just utter, barbarianism, basically, gladiator-type style fighting, where I couldn't imagine fighting for 30 minutes, Kyle.
No, this would be awful. You would be watching it, and after like 10 minutes, everybody would be just sluggos. They'd be holding each other. It'd be a big bear hug because nobody would have any energy left. So you would intentionally go in for a quick knockout. Otherwise, you'd be done. So 30 minutes. Obviously, they had no idea what they were doing at that time. It is amazing the development of the sport and how far it has come and what has transpired over the years. And it's really become one of the top sports in America.
Now, Kyle, I know you're a huge tennis fan, and 1995 was your summer of tennis because you want American tennis to get back to what it was in 1995. In 95, the Wimbledon and U.S. Open champion went to American Pete Sampras, and then on the ladies' side, the Wimbledon and U.S. Open went to American Steffi Graf.
Yeah, this was the good
Actually,
times.
no, she's not American. She just married Andre
German
Agassi.
or something, or Swiss or something.
She was married to Andre Agassi, so she's American by association.
Okay, I'll give you that. Yeah, the early 90s brought us a lot of great tennis stars in America, especially on the men's side. Women's tennis right now does have a lot of great Americans, but on the men's side, in the 90s, we had the Pete Sampras, Jim Courier, Andre Agassi. These are big names. These were number one players in the world, and that was an exciting time for tennis. So thank you, 1995, for being so great to tennis. We appreciate that.
Yep, it was a great year in yacht racing as well. In case you were wondering, Sweden won the World Cup in yacht racing.
Yeah, Sweden. I like it. Thank you for sharing that. I don't know that I would have brought that one up, but well played, sir. Well played.
Always got to bring up yacht racing and all of that. And in 1995, I can't go without saying it. My favorite sporting event in the summer is the Nathan's Hot Dog Eating Contest. And before we had the legendary known as Joey Chestnut, we had a guy named Ed Crotchy. He won 2 years in a row starting off in 1995. So good job, Ed, for winning one for America on Independence Day.
America. There you go. Chris America being American on Independence Day with the hot dog eating contest. This is your event right here, Chris America.
That is my event.
This is the one that you love. This is the one you look forward to every year. So I'm glad you brought that up because that is an all-American event.
Now, we talk about sports, but we also love all kinds of things. You and I, we love music. We love movies. So what was going on in the summer of 95 in the music world? Well, your favorite artist, Bryan Adams, had the song, the hit, the love ballad, Have You Ever Really Loved a Woman? And Loudbeard, have you ever really loved a woman?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Do you think the male aficionado has ever really loved a woman?
No, absolutely not. He only loves males.
And you know what else I was doing in the summer of 95, Kyle?
What were you doing in the summer of 95?
I was not chasing waterfalls. And the reason why is because TLC told me not to. So no waterfalls for this guy. No waterfalls for prepubescent Chris America.
Wow, that's really great, Chris America. See, I'm taking myself back to actually being in 1995. This was a great year for punk rock music. And this was the time in my life when I was a big punk rock music aficionado, if we lack of a better term. Now, in 1994, Green Day Dookie came out, and it started this whole popularization of the punk rock scene. And not that it wasn't already somewhat popular, but it kind of brought it into the mainstream. And some of the bands that I listened to at that time, like NoFX, Pennywise, Rancid, they all had huge releases at that time. Punk rock was probably at the pinnacle, at least for me. Maybe it's just because I remember it in a different way. But these albums that they came out with, NoFX comes out with I Heard They Suck Live, Rancid, and Out Come the Wolves, and Pennywise About Time. These were the not mainstream, but punk popular albums of the year, and 1995 was a great year for me in my listening enjoyment.
Yeah, it was a great year in that. And the summer ended with Gangsta's Paradise being the number one hit of that summer. So lots of great music. And I'm looking through the summer of 95 in the movies. And, man, it was an amazing year.
Wait, before you get to movies, you forgot one of the greatest bands of all time in the rock genre. The Foo Fighters in the summer of 95 come out with their debut album. And this is the start of the Foo Fighters. And your favorite artist of all time, she's a little ironic from time to time, but Alanis Morissette, she comes out with her Jagged Little Pill album in the summer of 95. These are iconic albums, might I add.
You are correct. And with the Foo Fighters, Dave Grohl, drummer from Nirvana, nobody was really sure what he could do as a lead singer. Like, wait, the drummer from Nirvana is going to be the lead singer of a band? And he's killed it. By far,
my favorite part was the Mentos commercial.
Yeah, the Mentos commercial that came along with it. Yeah.
Yes.
So let's go to movies. Just outside of the summer, on May 24th, one of my favorite movies of all time, Braveheart, comes out. So that was pretty cool. And on the same day, Tales from the Hood, also another good movie.
Hey,
but
that was before Mel Gibson went crazy. So that was
that was
good Mel Gibson. That's when you could like him.
That's true. That was when you could definitely like him. Then the summer blockbusters came out. We had Congo. We had Batman Forever, really great movie. Not really, but Kiss from a Rose came from that movie. Tommy Lee Jones and Jim Carrey I thought were great in that movie. Chris O'Donnell, he was okay. Val Kilmer, you're getting a little fat there, Iceman. Try to lose some weight if you're going to play Batman. And then,
the worst part of that movie was the director. Once they got rid of Tim Burton, they went like let's do neon lights and let's make it all bright and goofy. And that movie had so much potential to be one of the greatest of all time, and it fell on its face. It just didn't pan out. You're right, though. Jim Carrey and Tommy Lee Jones, they carried that movie. They made it good, but you don't have Michael Keaton as Batman. You don't have Tim Burton as a director. It didn't work out.
It didn't work out. I did like Drew Barrymore. I had a little teenage crush on her during that time.
Who didn't?
And like I said, Kiss from a Rose, great love ballad.
Was Drew Barrymore in Batman Forever, though?
Yep, I'm looking at it right now.
What did she play?
Didn't she play? She played Batgirl.
No, you're talking about Alicia Silverstone.
Okay, then who did she play in this movie? Because I'm looking at it right now. I got Batman Forever up. I got Val Kilmer, Tommy Lee Jones, Nicole Kidman, Chris O'Donnell, Drew Barrymore, Michael Goff, Pat Ingle.
We'll have to do a fact check on that. I am pretty sure it was Alicia Silverstone because she was pretty hot that summer.
Fourth one.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah, so I'm not sure who she played, but
weird. Anyway, maybe she was the love interest for Batman. I haven't seen that movie in a long time.
Listen,
I can't say.
No, Nicole Kidman was. Listen, it's Wikipedia, so it's got to be right.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I look at Wikipedia too. It's got to be true.
We also had Apollo 13, another great movie. Clueless came out. There's your Alicia Silverstone right there.
Yes, Clueless. That's a really great movie. Like I shouldn't have liked that movie because it seemed like kind of girly, but it's an all-around fun, comedic movie. Great time for the summer. It was awesome. And recently, Alicia Silverstone did lip sync battle, and she reenacted the Clueless version of a song. Just top notch. Just saying.
Yep, I'm going to just roll through these real quick. A movie that everybody loved to dump on, but 12-year-old Chris America loved it was Waterworld. Came out in 95. Desperado, hell of a movie. One of my favorite shoot-'em-up action movies of all time. And The Last of the Dragon. Nope, that's not the movie I thought it was. National Lampoon's Senior Trip. Did you ever see that one?
No, I don't think I ever saw Senior Trip.
And one of the best horror thrillers of all time. Ended out this summer, 7.
Yeah, there's a head in the box. So you missed one. There was a really great movie that came at the end of the summer that got a lot of publicity.
Thanks for everything.
That one
thanks for everything.
Julie Newmar. The NC-17 movie that brought the world to a halt when a Saved by the Bell movie star
I was just about to say something about that.
Was topless. Go for it.
Yes. No, Showgirls came out, and it was an awful movie, but when you're 12, you don't care. And you tried to figure out how you were going to get a copy of that movie. I don't know. I didn't see it that year because obviously I was 12 and too young to find it. My parents didn't buy those movies or they hid them really well for me. So I don't remember when I actually ended up seeing that movie, but definitely it was a bucket list item once that happened. You're right.
I've got two last ones that were two of my favorite movies. One, Judge Dredd, great movie, Sylvester Stallone. I loved it. And the other one is That's right.
Mortal
Kombat came out that summer. So great lineup. 1995 was a great year, Chris America. I'm feeling nostalgic. I feel excited, man. This was good times.
Yeah, and we'll end it on this real quick on TV. A couple of shows that debuted in 1995. It was a good time to be a kid. Let me pull it up. Programs debuting. Here we go. Where'd it go? Earthworm Jim came out with a show. Freakazoid, Pinky and the Brain. Man, all of those were great. Also, WCW Monday Nitro debuted in September of 95.
That was a big deal.
It was a huge deal. And then rest in peace that summer, Eureka's Castle.
Oh,
also, it looks like Family Matters. Full House ended in 1995.
But it's back now, so it doesn't matter. It's like it never left.
Yep. The Batman the Animated Series also ended in 95. One of my favorite Batman shows / movies was that Batman the Animated Series. Luke Skywalker was the Joker. It was awesome.
Yeah, one of the greatest animated series of all times. Hands down.
Yo MTV Raps ended in 1995.
They need to bring that back. I think that needs a resurrection. Yo MTV Raps would be a great addition to the MTV lineup. Is MTV still a station? I'm old man. I don't even keep up with the young whippersnappers anymore.
It is, and I just tuned into a show. I can't remember what it was called. It was something like Too Stupid to Die, and it's basically Jackass with new people.
Oh.
So they're just
That might be
recycling
interesting.
old ideas. So, Kyle, we went back in time, and we got caught in a time warp, and it's now 6:55. The show's over. We spent the whole entire second half talking about 1995. That's how great it was.
It was a great year. I loved it. And sports. Boom. I talked about sports the second half. I said the word sports. That counts.
That's right. Blake Bortles Combat. We also talked about that.
Bortles Combat. Well, you know what tomorrow's Friday, and we have a lot of fun on Fridays. I'm looking forward to a great show. We will have an actual NFL game to talk about tomorrow. We have, we probably will, we'll come out with a new segment tomorrow, so that's going to be a lot of fun. It may be something to do with Bortles Combat. We will see. I'm looking forward to it. But I do want to say that... Oh, wait. I just got a text. I want to give a quick correction. So Drew Barrymore was totally in Batman Forever. She was one of Two-Face's... one of his, I guess, thugs, but she was the hot wearing lingerie thug. Because
that's right.
Yeah.
Now I recall that. Yep. See?
Yeah, Mrs. Loudbeard went ahead and sent me a photo, and this is a pretty risque photo. I wonder if Mrs. Loudbeard understands what she's sending me. We'll talk about that later.
Wikipedia is undefeated.
Undefeated. Go for it, Wikipedia. Man, I stand corrected. Thank you very much, Chris America. And that is a good Drew Barrymore. That is a Drew Barrymore I can get behind.
Yeah, literally.
Oh boy, where's my?
This isn't After Dark, Chris America. What are you doing?
That's what she said.
All right.
That was way late. Sorry. Okay, great show today, Chris America. Send us off.
Yep. See you guys tomorrow morning, bright and early, and go Eagles. Hey Kyle, you're gonna have to send me that pic later, okay?
Oh yeah, no problem. I'll send it to you. Just
All
don't
right,
show
looking-
Miss America. She might get a little jealous.
She might. I don't know. If Tara sends it to you, she might like it too.
Mmm.